People will save for all of their life, age of 60 or 70, they will go for Hajj. Now, those people are being priced out of the market because these new packages are impossible for those people to buy. The governments are now stepping in to help them. It'll be very difficult for them. Why the cost has gone up, this is a new phenomenon. You're saying you go 1.8 million, but you priced out so many other people. So the cost needs to come down from Saudi Arabia.
It's the most important religious pilgrimage in Islam, but has the Hajj become too expensive or even over-commercialized? Well, from glitzy developments and pricey hotels to Saudi Arabia's big plans to grow religious tourism in the coming years, the Hajj has definitely changed. Razaq Raj is a researcher at University of Leeds, Beckett, and he's an editor of the International Journal of Religious Tourism and Pilgrimage. Razaq, thanks for joining us. Let's get the simple question here. Has the Hajj indeed become too commercialized?
Yes, Hajj has become commercialized over the last 5 or 6 years, particularly after COVID. Before COVID, it was getting commercialized before COVID, but now it's definitely been commercialized. Pilgrimage are being treated like like holiday makers rather than a pilgrimage. And before, I used to say we're dealing with the pilgrimage, purely people go to Makkah and Medina purely for pilgrimage. Now, because the way the system Saudi government have set up is now being treated as a commercial entity.
Let's get into the details. As Razaq mentioned, Hajj is a pillar of Islam and an obligation of every able-bodied Muslim who can afford to do it. Pilgrims visit religious sites in Mecca and other cities over a 5-day period, the most important being the Grand Mosque in Mecca. Razaq, let's start with Mecca itself and almost the visuals of it. You did Hajj in 2006. You've done it since then as well. Maybe you can explain from a visual level, how different did the Grand Mosque and your experience there look in 2006 from maybe how it looks today? How would you explain that to a viewer?
The mosque has, from outside, the structure has not been changed, but in 2006 to 2025, it has changed because inner part of the, what we call it, and Mitaf has been changed, where the people go around the black stone, and is thus been completely changed. Since then, number of work has taken place to expand for more pilgrimage to able to perform the Hajj and Umrah. It's a phenomenal place. I mean, let me make it clear. The work has been done. It's to the highest level you can get.
I'm also thinking of the large clock tower that's right there next to the Grand Mosque. It's an imposing structure, and I believe there's hotel rooms inside. Is that indicative of creating much needed space for pilgrims, or is it a move towards luxury? How should we look at that?
Your both points are correct. First of all, they created for luxury for pilgrimage because, if my memory is correct, there's 11 hotels in there, unless I've got my figures wrong. And these were purely created as a luxury hotels, 5-star hotels for pilgrimage. Now it become hindrance process because the mosque needs to be expanded, and that side of the mosque cannot be extended because the way the Makkah is situated is surrounded by the hills. They have to do something. There was a plan, which I was aware of it, 2030. And what they was going to do is demolish all these luxury hotels, the tower, and then able to expand the mosque. And currently that plan has been now been scrapped. So again, you never know. Saudi government might decide one day they want to completely remove it, expand it, but the expansion needed. Also, they need is modern transportation, which what they're really lacking. And this is also causing major problem. They don't have a tram system, they don't have an underground system, they don't have a brilliant infrastructure in terms of transportation, and that's what we needed. So able people can live a bit more far away and able to travel in through the transportation, like if they are the tram or if they are the underground. And that's the long-term plan that needs to do.
Is there a market that Saudi Arabia is tapping into as well with these luxury hotels? I think some of them have malls and stores attached, very pristine looking, a level up from what many might associate with a religious pilgrimage. Is there a market that they're tapping into for people who are willing to spend that kind of money, want to kind of stay in those kind of accommodations during this event?
You see, you can get two types of visitors there. One type of visitors will not embrace these new modern type malls and modern type of hotels. They purely will go there and spend their time in pilgrimage during the Umrah and Hajj. There will be some people who will enjoy the luxury life, spend 50% of time in doing the performing the religious duties. The other 50% maybe obviously enjoying the new mall and the new shopping environment. There is a market for it. You can't deny that. And some people actually, what they're saying is that rather taking kids for holidays, for example, in Spain and Portugal, let's take them to Makkah. They will perform the religious duty at the same time they will have holidays. So you can see they cater that new environment. I can see the long-term over the Saudi element, but I think because where they're located is not suitable for the pilgrimage, and this causing a long-term obstacles because more and more people are going to Mecca every year. Saudi vision is that they want to increase the number, double the number by 2030. Currently, if I give you some figures, which I doing some paper last week, moment they roughly makes around about $31 billion per year from Umrah and Hajj. The figure is that they want to increase that to 81 billion. So Kenya is a huge market. So obviously now they were saying they're not emphasizing too much on Hajj. They're emphasizing people travel all other 11 months a year.
Meanwhile, the packages for Hajj have only become more expensive for Muslims around the world. In the UK, package prices have risen by 33% in the last 10 years. In Indonesia, by over 50%. And in Pakistan, from our calculations, costs have more than tripled since 2015. We should also note here that packages vary, especially between the UK and countries that receive quotas like Pakistan and Indonesia. Still, that's more than just inflation. What's going on there? What's behind this? Do we know?
100% is definitely increased. Nobody can able to see what's the reason behind it. Well, my understanding is that because now everything is controlled by the Saudi government, all the packages are created by Saudi government. There's no middleman anymore. They give the contract to private companies then to run it. So basically, for example, there's a package called Nusk that you have to, in UK, for example. So we cannot go through any other packages. And this is government run. And this is managed by privately. Again, you have to pay in advance. If you're lucky enough to get the package, that's fine. Otherwise, you have to pay the commission. They will return the money back to you.
Does that essentially put more and more, put Hajj for more and more people out of reach if the prices are growing in such a way that 5 years from now, you're seeing much more higher prices than you did 5 years before? Is this something that Muslims are concerned about?
100% everybody is concerned about this. This is actually taking low people, ordinary people out of the market, for example. They cannot go Hajj. Some people used to save for whole of their lives. Particularly when you mentioned earlier about Pakistan and Indonesia, or if you like a country like Egypt, people will save for all of their life, age of 60 or 70, they will go for Hajj. Now those people are being taken out of the market and priced out of the market because this new package is impossible for those people to buy. Even the middle class in the UK, is impossible for them to go Hajj now compared to was 5 years ago. For example, if you go back before COVID, average number used to be 20,000 people used to go from UK. Now you're probably only looking 3,600. So again, people are already been priced out. And this is a major concern for a number of the people, the pilgrimage. They're thinking, how can we go on Hajj? Because obviously an average price, if I said here this year was 12,000 for VIP. Ordinary person, it is a huge amount of money. It's not 12,000. By the time you go there, an additional cost, you're probably adding another 5,000 on top of it.
We've seen countries like Indonesia even step in to lower costs. Do you expect to see more of that? What recourse do countries have when costs are so high?
Indonesia, I know I visited myself in 2 years ago on a conference which was based on religious tourism. And one of the discussion was purely based on the cost. Now the cost burden will be taken by the government. That's why they try to lower the cost. And the population in Indonesia is one of the largest population in the world Muslim country. Obviously, person has one chance in lifetime. So they try to help people to go Hajj. If you can elect other countries where governments are now stepping in to help them, it'll be very difficult for them.
You touched on this, but we know that Saudi Arabia wants to increase religious tourism dramatically in the coming years, including the number of pilgrims on Umrah, which you spoke about. Could that actually help relieve some of this pressure that's on the Hajj? Could that be a good thing if they increase capacity for more people to attend not just Hajj, but also Umrah?
You see, the issue is, I think this is where we need to make it clear. The Umrah is not compulsory. It's anybody can go as many times as possible. They can travel, every month. Hajj is a fundamental part of the Islamic belief, the fifth pillar of the Islamic ethos. So that's two different things. Even they increase the capacity during the 11 months. End of the day, bottom line is people still need to go for Hajj if they can afford it, because that's a fundamental belief. And for that's where the cost needs to come down. That's where the Saudi government needs to work with other countries, and they need to look at it. I mean, I don't really see, when I went in 2017, the hotels are exactly same. Obviously, across the Mosque of Aram, some of the new hotels have been built, but we're talking about Clock Tower. It's been there about 15, 20 years now, and that's no change. So why the cost has gone up, this is something new, phenomenal. And there's a major discussion taking place between the researchers and between academics and the religious people, saying, what is the reason? And I was talking to somebody in Saudi Arabia 2 days ago, because as you know, the Hajj started today. People are traveling to city of Mina today, and the people are working on that. And I said to them, look, you're saying you got 1.8 million, but you priced out so many other people. So I said, this is the discussion need to be taken place. So I hope next year or following years, the cost needs to come down from Saudi Arabia.
We know that in countries like Indonesia, again, the waiting list for Hajj is only growing every year. Is this just a difficult problem when perhaps the pilgrimage is financially within reach of more and more Muslims, given cheaper transport costs, given growing household incomes, things like that, but there's only so much capacity that can really be fit into the space?
There's two issues here. One is the capacity. Obviously, the population in Indonesia is growing and more and people want to do the Hajj. Secondly, the cost. And that's, again, is people are fighting two fronts now. Before they were fighting the quota basis, and now, secondly, now they're fighting the cost. And I think Saudi Arabia needs to do something about it. I'm looking at one of the documentaries yesterday, because the launch of Hajj was last night when they start taking people to a city of 10, is that they launched new drones. For example, Health Ministry has launched a new drones to help people who get ill or are not feeling well. And the way we used to take them 90 minutes, now we'll take them 6 minutes. Again, in terms of safety issues, the more people have been trained, more people on standby compared to last year's, because a number of people died last year due to heat. So those issues will be taken in consideration. But at the same time, I give you an example. In 2006, when I did the Hajj, the figure was quoted that time is 6 to 7 million. So I don't see, they got the capacity, they can able to hold more people. I think is how they manage it, and logistical, the changes need to take place in Saudi Arabia, how they manage it, that is important. I don't think capacity will be that big major issue.
Razaq, I want to ask you finally, given what we've seen in Saudi Arabia with this kind of push for growing Muslim tourism, especially in the country, a lot of that is a push for religious tourism, we know. But what does the market for Muslim tourism in general look like? That's also a growing market, isn't it, given these greater household income levels and the willingness to travel?
Two things here, Stephen, is first of all, Islamic tourism itself as a form of the traveling has grown in last 10 years. The concept is people want what we call it halal tourism, where they can go and able to have facilities, can able to cater for their families, their hospitality where the food is halal, and also where they're welcoming for countries like Malaysia, Indonesia, for example, Turkey, and these becoming, and now also Saudi Arabia, UAE, these becoming the forefront for the Muslim travelers, because they want Sharia compliant, facilities. So for that reason, obviously their household income is going up. More Muslims now taking holidays compared to maybe 20 years ago. For that reason, Islamic tourism concept is growing day by day. And this is something I think Saudi Arabia wants to tap into it, because they realize there's a market for it. And for that reason, our Saudi Arabia is doing is not just developing Makkah and Medina, they're developing the other cities like Taif. For example, they're also building cities like Neom and the rest of the country. So they are developing because they want Muslims to see other part of it, and not just the Islamic tourism. They want also increase the normal tourism into the country. So for that reason, Islamic tourism is a huge development, and the industry itself. There's been some quotations. Currently, the market stands, if my memory is correct, halal tourism concept is growing day by day, and you're looking at some of the issues are being or data has been compiled. You're probably looking around over 500 million billion. Will be generated by 2035 to Islamic tourism. So Islamic tourism, or what we call it halal tourism, is definitely looking at the countries in Middle East, Southeast Asia, and Africa.
All right, that's Razaq Raj. He's a researcher at University of Leeds Beckett and an editor of the International Journal of Religious Tourism and Pilgrimage. Razaq, thank you so much again.